Hi, I'm Clarice, your host to Being a Woman. Welcome back to today's episode where I will be hosting Fiona, a body talk practitioner, to tell us all about that and the body, trauma stored in the body, and everything good around that.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me. It's just amazing to be able to tell people a little bit more about this incredible modality, which is so insightful and can create such powerful change. But it is change through a gentleness. It's a change through discovery. It's not talking about trauma. It's just a way of unpeeling layers to find out who you really are. So Buddy Talk and I discovered each other way back in 2017 because I went through a complete physical collapse and all stress-induced and a level of trauma as well that I didn't realize until looking back on it. And I was in search of answers and I came across a Body Talk practitioner and I knew instantly that this was something that I wanted to do as well. And it was through Body Talk itself that I started on my own healing journey, not only on a physical side, but on an emotional, mental, and also a spiritual side too.
I just want to ask, what triggered that when you collapsed and you decided to make that shift for yourself to go more into body work?
So it was a process. Most of these things are. But when I was undergoing, trying to heal myself because I just was so physically weak and I could barely move. It was a struggle to just even get dressed in the mornings. It was a Body Talk session that found the key to help unlocking my return to healing. And a lot of that was to start to protect my own inner energies. So instead of them flooding out of me and being given away, I needed to fill my own energy tank first. And once I understood that, my body had enough energy within it to start the healing process. And I see that also with my clients, where they get that aha moment where they realize there's a reason why they struggle with something. And that reason can be diffused or it can be disempowered. It's realizing things from one's past that you never really gave any credit to, as well as being something that was problematic. But as you do more of this work, you start to understand how our past is constantly influencing our present. There's always stuff that we can unravel and allow that to dissipate from our subconscious mind, which then allows us to move on and to take back our lives and to become empowered to actually be the person we want to be.
With healing, I feel like my healing took me about 2 years. And obviously, I don't think you're ever done because there's always something. But the deepest, darkest part of me, like healing my inner child and like stepping out and like healing the energies within me, like you mentioned, that took me like, I would say, 2 years. And I feel like while I was in it, I knew what was happening to me, but I was like, can't this go faster? Can't this go faster? And I think we always want a quick fix in that. We just want this to be over. So how long would you also say a healing process takes, and how can people be more patient with themselves through the healing phase and knowing that you're not going to be fixed tomorrow. It's a process.
So there is no time on anything because, everyone is different. Everyone experiences life differently. And the nature of what you're working through, some of it can be released fairly quickly. If it's a sort of an emotional connection to a past event, you can dissolve that connection, which means it's not triggering you. I think for me, the joy in this process comes from people 100% learning to be more kind and compassionate towards themselves. Because when you step into that, it doesn't matter how long it may take, because you are kinder to yourself and you understand that this is a journey. But because it's a process, it's also the process where you're not just healing from particular incidences or experiences as well. It's a process of uncovering the magnificence of who you're always meant to be. I think what I personally like about Body Talk is that you don't have to go into that dark space, because you don't have to talk about stuff. It's there, but we can diffuse its power.
Please tell us, what is Body Talk and how does it work?
So it's been around for probably 35 plus years as well. It was developed by an Australian, Dr. John Veltheim, who at that time was seeking his own healing because he was severely ill. And he worked at combining the best of all the sort of knowledge there was around the mind, body, spirit complex as well. So he didn't just look at the body on its own. He looked at everything really holistically. And so what it has evolved to is a questioning of the body as to what is going on within the person themselves. So it's a very unique process. It's very focused on that person's needs as well. And so we use muscle testing, and we have a very detailed protocol of what I like to think is every conceivable aspect of the human condition, and that guides us in our questioning. And so we always begin by asking the body permission to work with it. And through the muscle testing, we start that questioning process. Where do I begin? Do I begin in this section? Do I begin in that section? And when you get a yes from the body, okay, where in that section do I need to go? Do I need to go to an emotion? Yes or no? Do I need to go to a physical aspect of the body? Like an endocrine system, yes or no? And so we honor the body's wisdom because we all have that. And we ask the body, what is its priority about letting go? What does it need to release? And through that, it's a deeper connection between a client and their own bodies that evolves as well, because most of us sit in our heads and we try to rationalize stuff, and we get out of that thing of being able to feel stuff. Does this feel right? What is my body feeling? What is my body trying to tell me? And so you start building that understanding, so every person becomes more connected to their body.
The more you heal, the closer you get to your body, and that's intuition. It's like getting less, thinking less, and feeling more.
Absolutely.
And we live in this world where everything's about thinking, so we're overthinking all the time instead of feeling. I feel like we hear a lot about nervous system regulation and emotional regulation. But I don't think a lot of people always necessarily know where to start with it, or what it really means, what it really is. So I'm hoping you can maybe give us more insights.
If you think about this term nervous system regulation, which is bandied around as well, whatever happens in our past, and people always tend to think of trauma as something big. And it doesn't have to be. It can be 100 little cuts of just being neglected or sort of not seen. And those things build up as well. And we then step into a pattern of behavior. For example, we then maybe step into, whenever we are in a stress situation, we're either the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode as well. And that is the way our system has become developed, either in a way to protect us, or it's been trained, if I can put it that way, into a way of responding as well. And because of the stress that we were exposed to and the stressors, and also just generally our lives nowadays as well, it keeps us in a hypervigilant state. So our nervous system can never shut down, can never go into calm mode, which means that we are always reacting to triggers without realizing why. And then even though we don't want to, it's an internal thing that bypasses our conscious mind. The nervous system can get wired into a way of responding that is not always within your control. And so the body becomes the vehicle that carries that weight of all the emotions as well. And it's no wonder that, 99% of my clients, we do a lot of emotional release, and they say they feel lighter.
Yeah, we live like in a time where everybody learns to suppress their emotions because they don't want to feel them. But I've learned that the more when I released my emotions and the more I started feeling them, it goes by quicker. I feel them and I release them, and that's like within a day or even a few hours now. I can release whatever made me angry, whatever made me upset. I deal with it and I just release it, and I see the pain behind the emotion coming up.
As human beings, we're emotional beings. We need to feel them because they are part of who we are. and if your child feels sad, allow them to feel sad. If your child feels anger, enable them to express that anger. They don't have the words necessarily, they don't have the vocabulary to be able to explain what it is that they're feeling, but to teach people to understand their emotions, to find positive ways in which they can release them, I think is so important. Grief as well. People often mistake grief for only being around loss of a person or loved one. But there's loss of self, there's loss of a goal, there's loss of a dream, there's loss of a lifestyle. Every time we evolve into a new version of ourselves, there's a mourning, or there should be a mourning or a grieving for the person that we were, because they brought us to this point.
Can you maybe give us some practical examples of grief, of fear of loss, like maybe divorces also is one? Yes, I feel like that's a big one. I was married before, and I felt like actually before my divorce, I went through a grieving process because I knew I lost myself, I lost my husband, lost that love, and I also had a miscarriage, which was a huge loss then. So I feel like, yes, like you said, it's not necessarily somebody passing away. Grief comes in many forms.
Yes, very much so. And I'll say that a lot of the women that I work with, there is a huge amount of grief over that loss of self because they don't know who they are anymore. Either you work under a labeling system, so you're labeled a mother, or you're labeled a home caretaker, or whatever the case is. But then all of a sudden, it's, I've been all these things, I've given to so many people, but who am I really as well? So I think there's very much a loss of that. And I think there is, for women, there's so many of them sacrifice their dreams to be there for others. And so there's that deep, again, loss of almost like a sense of opportunity.
And then maybe at that age they feel like it's already too late.
So wrong.
I think so many has that, yes, like they feel like I might as well just stick with what I have now and where I am now and what I'm doing now. I mean, I'm, like you said, 50 or whatever age. What's the use in changing everything now? But I feel like you're never too late. You can always, tomorrow can be a new day, a next day. You just need to take that step for yourself.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think there are a lot of people who think, well, I'm just who I am. And you're never just who you are, because every single day you can create a new version of yourself. And it's never too late to reinvent yourself. You see that with people into their 70s or 80s, reinventing who they are and becoming someone that they never thought was possible, and all the joy that comes with that journey of self-discovery. So I think a lot of people do get stuck in that mode of, well, this is all there is. And, it's too late. It's never too late. Never, never, never too late.
So I saw on this podcast, this guy, I can't even remember now where or what, but I remember what they said. Okay, so your conscious mind is 10% of your being, and your subconscious mind is 90% of your being. So basically, conscious mind is your brain, and then subconscious mind is your body. I don't know how true you feel that is, or does it resonate with your information or work that you do?
I think proportionally, the subconscious mind is massive because it works, your bodily function. So you don't actively make the blood go around your body. This is all triggered subconscious mind. But there is the mind part that sits in the subconscious. So beliefs are part of the mind. They're a construct in the mind, but they sit in the subconscious. So I'm not sure you can separate it as cleanly as that, because I do think there's they overlap and they cross-pollinate as well. That the body responds to the things that are felt in the mind, and then also what then gets buried in the subconscious mind. So for sure, it's known that the subconscious mind is, we always use that iceberg as an image to, the big part of the iceberg sits below the surface, which is like the subconscious mind.
And I feel like the more you you release trauma and the more you heal, also the more you're able to be aligned with your intuition at the end of the day.
For sure, because with trauma and all of that, the body and the mind tend to shut down to protect us as well. And it does them keep us stuck in, as you mentioned, the box as well, because it's safe there, it's known, and to put our heads over the edge of the box and look out can be really scary as well. But intuitively, if we start listening to that little voice that says, this box is too small for you, let's go and see what else there is. And then you put the one foot over and to sort of take that little baby step and then another step as well. So I think, again, just to understand that the mind is always trying to keep us safe, which means it keeps us limited as well, as I said, in the known. But the unknown is where the change and the growth and the potential exists.
We are afraid of the unknown because that's outside of the box we are supposed to be in, or that we are learned to be in. Like from children, we are learned to be inside of that box, and that's the only place you're allowed to be. So if you do get that feeling or that calling of I'm meant for more, then take it. And I do feel like a lot of women also, especially more and more, experience burnout.
Totally.
Burnout is a very common thing amongst women because I feel like we're not meant to be in grind mode all the time. And
And also women struggle with boundaries.
yes.
And also often women feel very unsupported as well. And there are many women that can't ask for help. And so, they just carry more and carry more until they can't anymore.
So can you give us some practical examples of where trauma comes from? Because I heard this one time, like the fear of abandonment can come from you being in a shop and you're in the trolley and your mother just quickly goes around the corner to get something and comes back. It might be 5 seconds, but within that 5 seconds, you can build that small fear of abandonment of my mother left me.
Every child has unique needs. So one child might need quality time with their parents, whereas another child in the family might need, we're using the 5 love languages, gifts, because that's how they feel that they're loved as well. Now the parents might treat all the kids the same, and inadvertently the child might be missing out on something that is specifically special in terms of what they need as well. So it's really difficult to know where a child might pick up a lack or feel that, something that enabled them to feel neglected or to feel abandoned, or for a child to feel that they are the golden-haired child, where they're only measured by the achievements that they get at school as opposed to who they really are. As you say, violence in the home can create a different wiring in the way a child responds to the world. So it's a little bit difficult to say. I mean, there's also the obvious traumas, around physical trauma, emotional trauma, any type of that sort of abuse as well, that also, is going to create or has the potential to create issues for children down the line. Parents today working 2 jobs, not being available for children, understandably, tough economy, those are the things that happen. But then children can feel neglected, and children who feel neglected can often either become, it could play out in later life as well, in terms of trying to be people pleasers so that, they get attention or whatever the case might be. So it's massively complex in that.
I feel like emotional neglect is a very common one because it's unseen. You can't see emotional neglect. And I feel like a lot of children, and even like us, have experienced emotional neglect in our lives. So I feel like that's a very common thing.
And it's going to impact on relationships, either being very needy in relationships or pushing away or not feeling like you deserve a decent relationship. Yeah, for sure. That's a very sort of subtle one, but I do think there is a lot of that. And sometimes it's often not the parent's fault. It's just circumstance, but has a heavy impact.
Fiona, thank you so much for being here today and giving us all the beautiful insights you were just sharing with us.
This has been awesome. It's been lovely to just talk about such wide-ranging topics and that, and I think for me, humans are so complex, and the human condition has got so many layers to it. And I think it's a real privilege for me to be in a space where I can help people unpeel those layers and create a depth of understanding where they can become kinder and compassionate towards themselves. Because when you do that, your capacity for kindness and compassion to others is multiplied. And so thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
And to you, thank you for staying around, listening to this whole episode. I'm sure you removed as much as I removed by all of the information Fiona was sharing with us today. And I hope this is your cue to take that step outside of the box and become the woman that you know you were always meant to be. So yeah, all the best of luck, and please make sure to subscribe. Then I'll see you again next week. Bye.